What to do if she has small breasts. Okay, the topic for this video actually comes from a female viewer. She wrote to me that could you please do a video on what men should do with women who have small breasts. In other words, how do they handle small breasts during sex? Because apparently her experience has been that men seem to not know what to do with her breasts when it comes to foreplay and sex. Now, this is something I've actually heard from multiple women who have small breasts. And so the point of this video today is going to be helping men understand how do you play with small breasts when it comes to foreplay and sex. But before we do that, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And doing those things greatly helps the channel. I am this close to 100,000 subscribers, so please, if you are not already subscribed to the channel, do so. Make sure that you click that little like button because that tells the algorithm that you're interested in this kind of material, which means they will show it to more people, and the same thing with sharing it. Those things greatly help the channel, and they help me get this information out there to people who need it. Hey everybody, I am Kevin Anthony. I'm a certified sexologist, Tantra Counselor, NLP Practitioner, and sex, love, and relationship coach. And for over a decade, I have been helping men, women, and couples have the relationship of their dreams and the best sex of their lives. Okay, so number one, what do you do with a woman who has small breasts? The simple answer, and then I'm going to expand throughout the rest of this video, is treat them the same way that you would large breasts. Now, obviously, there might be like one or two things you can't do with small breasts that you could do with large breasts. Like maybe you can't stick your head between them and motorboat them. Okay. Maybe you can't put your penis between them and, do that. But other than that, everything else is really just the same. And that's the big point here. If I could impart anything to you from this video, it would be that don't think that the size really matters when it comes to, how do you give pleasure to a woman through her breasts? Or how do you even enjoy playing with them yourself, right? Because, sex and foreplay is a give and take, right? You are stimulating her breasts because that helps her get turned on, right? That helps her vagina lubricate, gets her more ready for penetration, gives her pleasure, but it's also something that you can enjoy. I know I certainly enjoy giving pleasure to my woman in all the various different ways that you can give pleasure, and the breasts are one of them. So don't think that you really need to do anything different. Having said that, we're going to get into a few more things. Okay, number two. You need to understand that the size of the breasts don't have anything to do with the sensitivity of the breasts. In other words, I think sometimes some men feel like, well, because she has small breasts, then she's not going to want me to play with them or touch them because it's not really going to feel that good for her. That is absolutely not true. I have personally known and experienced women who have small breasts who receive a tremendous amount of pleasure through having their breasts played with. So don't make that assumption that the size has anything to do with that. Just because they may be on the smaller side doesn't mean that she isn't really enjoying it and receiving a significant amount of pleasure from anything that you might be doing with them. So like I said in number one, treat them the same way that you would, any other size breast. And number two, of course, keep in mind that they're going to enjoy the stimulation just as much. Now, there are, of course, some women who have painful breasts or less sensation than others. So, you might run into a woman with small breasts who doesn't like them being touched or played with, but you will also run into women with larger breasts who don't like them being touched or played with, and every size in between. So just know that the size of it doesn't have anything to do with how much pleasure she's actually going to receive through them. Okay, number three, having said that, make sure that you include them in both your foreplay and your sexual play, right? So just because they may be small doesn't mean, well, I'm just going to skip those. And we just talked about number 2, the fact that the amount of sensation received is not dependent on the size. So, back to sort of the question, what to do if she has small breasts. Play with them. Stimulate them. Use them as another way that you can turn her on, give her pleasure, get her lubricated and ready for sex. And so make sure that you include them in the foreplay. Right? Now, I talk about foreplay on this channel a lot and in my podcast a lot, and you know that I'm a big proponent of starting, sort of more on the outskirts of the female body, right? Touching their arms and their legs and the back of their neck and kissing and that kind of stuff, and moving in more towards the center, eventually getting to the breasts and then eventually getting to the genitals. That still applies here, but when you do get to that point where it's like, hey, it's time to, move in towards the breasts, make sure that you touch them, massage them, gently play with her nipples, suck on them, maybe lightly bite them. All the same things that you would do with larger breasts, you can do with smaller breasts. The key, of course, with anything, and this is true with pretty much anything involving sex, is you just have to know what your woman likes. What does she like? And if you're not sure what she likes, simply ask her. If she tells you, I'm not really sure what I like, then just say, okay, well, I'm going to try some things, and then, tell me what you like. It's really not that complicated. I say this all the time, but, treat a woman's body like it's a playground, right? And I've referenced this in many videos too, the John Mayer song, Your Body is a Wonderland, right? Treat her whole body like a wonderland. It doesn't matter what size her breasts are. When it comes to any sort of stimulation, with the breasts, just have fun with it. Try different techniques. Remember, though, that for most women, the breasts are sensitive, so your techniques should be on the lighter side. But just have fun with it. Try all different things. Using your mouth, using your hands, using your penis even if you want to, or using some toys like feathers or whatever. Just have fun with them and make sure that you actually include them. Okay, number 4. So we're talking, at least in number 3, we were talking about making sure you include them in foreplay. Number 4, I just wanted to mention that women with smaller breasts love having them massaged just as much as women with larger breasts. And so, back to that question, what do you do if she has small breasts? The same stuff. If you would have normally given a breast massage to, a woman that was a partner of yours who had larger breasts, you do the same thing with smaller breasts. There's really nothing different about that. Again, the sensation doesn't necessarily change. It's like, okay, guys, maybe you have, big developed back muscles, right? And you're like, oh yeah, that feels really good when you dig in there. Well, what about a guy who doesn't have big developed back muscles? Does he go, nah, I don't want a back massage because, my muscles aren't that big and it really doesn't feel that good? Of course not. Everybody loves a back massage, right? I have yet to meet or talk with a woman who says she doesn't like to have her breasts massaged. Now, obviously, there's always outliers. There could be some issues with breast health, some sensitivities, potentially some trauma. But outside of the outliers, I have never met a woman who doesn't like her breasts massaged, regardless of what size they are. Okay, number 5, and I kind of hinted at this one already, but just keep in mind, every woman is different. And if you're not sure what your woman likes, just ask her. Just ask her. She will generally tell you. And if she's not 100% sure, just make sure that she is aware that if you're ever doing anything that she doesn't like, that she's free to speak up and let you know. As long as she feels comfortable, right? And as long as she trusts you that you're not going to do anything that's going to be potentially painful or harmful in some way, she should be more than happy to let you experiment, and the two of you can figure out together what it is she actually likes. So just remember, every woman is different, and it has what they like and what they don't like mostly doesn't have anything to do with the size of their breasts. Now, obviously, size can factor in where somebody says, well, I don't like being in this position because, it's too uncomfortable on my breasts, right? So that might be something due to size. Well, for the most part, it doesn't really have anything to do with size, and it really has to do with the individual, and you just need to find out what she likes. Okay, and number 6, this brings me to the last one, and one that I think is really kind of important, which is kind of why I saved it for last, because I really wanted to make a point of this one, and that is a lot of women with small breasts tend to be self-conscious of them. We live in a society where having big breasts is somehow an important thing. I mean, it's used in movies and TV shows and marketing of all kinds to sell every product you can possibly think of. And so we see a lot of examples out there of women with larger breasts. In the roughly 80s-ish or so, when breast implants became a thing, this got even worse, because before you had a lot more examples of women with all different sized breasts, many of which were on the smaller side. But then with the invention of breast implants, all of a sudden you started seeing big-breasted women everywhere. And so that put more pressure on women with smaller breasts. Because of that, a lot of women with smaller breasts do tend to be a bit self-conscious of them. Now, why is that important for you to know when we're talking about, hey men, what can you do with a woman who has smaller breasts? I think one of the important things that you should do is tell her how much you like them, how much you enjoy them, how beautiful they are, whatever compliment, how symmetrical they are, how nice her nipples are, maybe how proportioned they are to the rest of her body, whatever it is. I think it's a really good idea to let her know on a regular basis, right? So this is another thing that we guys do. Like we say it once, we're like, we told her, she knows, yay, haha, right? And the reality is, if you told her once, she doesn't know. She's going to need to hear this regularly, especially if this is something that she's been self-conscious about for a large part of her life. You're not going to change that with one or two comments. You're going to need to tell her over and over again. When you're, playing with them, when you're, in the midst of foreplay or even sex, you can tell her how much you like them, how beautiful they are. Just when you're, showering together or walking around the house naked or whatever it is, make it a point to let her know that you like them. Again, a lot of women are self-conscious. They have their own ideas of, how they look or, what they feel like. And so it's really, really, really good for you to share how you are actually feeling about them. Remember, it's the same way for us too, right? A lot of guys have a lot of insecurities around their penis size, right? And one of the things that's really helpful for us as men is if our woman simply says to us, I love your size, it's the perfect size for me, or your penis is beautiful, I don't need any more, that sort of thing, right? It's the same thing with women. When they are self-conscious around their breast size, just let them know, honey, they're beautiful. I love them. I have so much fun playing with them. They look amazing. I love your nipples. I love how sensitive they are. I love how when I touch them, they drive you wild. Whatever it is, I'm sure you can come up with a way to compliment them and do so on a regular basis. It will absolutely help her confidence when it comes to her breasts. So there you go. Those are my tips on what to do if she has small breasts. Please make sure that you check out my website at kevinanthonycoaching.com/linked in bio. That is where you can find everything that I'm up to, from my podcast to my YouTube channel to my coaching programs to my men's sexual mastery programs, blogs, products, and so much more. It's all right there at kevinanthonycoaching.com/link in bio.